Today we're going to be rating you guys' MLB The Show squads, and I'm going to be giving you guys suggestions on what you guys should do with your teams. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you guys like and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into it. So, our first team here today is from Matt Bless PS4. He says, about 40k in the bank at the moment, got to do more flipping and working on investments. Worth noting that Randy platoons for Grandy against Lefties, and that Yu Chang is probably the next I want to replace. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into it here. Alright, so it looks like we have Kondo at catcher. We have Reggie Jackson at DH. Yu Chang. Who is that at second? Is that Bogarts? I think that's Bogarts at second. Lindor at short. Gunnar Henderson at third. Curtis Granderson in left. Trout in center. And Jim Edmonds in right. And on the bench, we have some guys here. Freddie Freeman, Troy Gloss. Let's see. Edward Julian, and is that Randy Rosarina? I believe that's Randy. Okay. So, and he said, what did he say? Grandy against Lefties, Randy and Grandy platoon. Okay. So, Randy and Grandy platoon. Okay. And Yu Chang is probably, okay. So, Yu Chang's the guy that you want to go. And you have about 40k stubs. So, what I would do, personally, is there's a guy named Lou Gehrig for 40k. That definitely would fit. Let's go ahead and look at his lineup here. See how this looks. So he's got Lindor, Kondo, Trout, Edmonds, Xander, Reggie, Curtis, Yu Chang, and Gunnar Henderson. Let's see. Switch left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Okay. So for the most part, you're playing into the meta right now, which is right-handed pitching, which is good. I don't personally like to bat lefty-lefty, so I don't like to have lefties back-to-back, which, I mean, you can always platoon, so it's not that big of a deal. Personally, if it was me, I would be looking to get rid of this Gunner card. I'm not a big Gunner fan, personally. I think that you can get better cards for better value. So I would be looking to replace Gunner with a guy like Yohan Moncada. That would be the first person I would be thinking about replacing. Then, on top of that, I would be looking to, like you said, you want to get rid of Yu Chang. So, Yu Chang, I would be looking at Lou Gehrig to replace Yu Chang. That's probably the first two things I would do. Lineup construction-wise, I think this is solid. I think Trout should move up one spot, but that would kind of mess up your right, left. So everybody, you know, I think the righty should be 2, 4, 6, 8, and your lefty should be, you know, 3, 5, 7, and 9, which it's pretty close to that now as it is. Just kind of swap a little bit up. That's what I would do personally. And yeah, hopefully that helps. Moving on to the next guy, we have Q's Island. Let's see. His team is really budget. I don't really know how many stubs he has to work with here. So it's kind of hard for me to really give any suggestions. But the first things first I would do is I would upgrade your catcher here. I'm not a big Pudge fan at all, so I would get rid of Ivan Rodriguez. That's probably one of the first things I would look to do. Another thing that I would look to do is just finish out the WBC program so you can upgrade your general team as a whole. I think that's going to help your team tremendously, both starting pitching-wise and your lineup. Next, I would get rid of Catfish Hunter. He's absolutely terrible. He's not even a usable card. I would not even try to use this card. He's not good at all. I would get rid of him. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Like I said, you don't have really stub him out here, so I can't really help you much, but that's what I would do. Next team, we have Chiraq Dynasty. Let's see. So we got JT Realmuto, Greg Vaughn, Brooks Robinson, Jeff Bagwell. We're going to get to him in a second. Lindor, Machado, Julio, Trout, Ricky. Okay. Overall, really solid squad. I'm getting Bagwell out of this lineup regardless of what happens. I don't care if you're an Astros fan or not. His swing is absolutely awful. And for 50k stubs, there's tons better you can do. There's Lou Gehrig you can do. I would honestly prefer live series, like, I would prefer the Diamond Pete Alonso to this card. Like, there's so many cards in this game that you can use. Kondo, from the WBC program, you can use it first. You can use Yu Chang. I would prefer anybody over this Bagwell card. This Bagwell card is not good. Do not use this Bagwell card. Get rid of him. That's the first thing I would do. Get rid of Bagwell. The rest of the team, though, Greg Vaughn, I think for price-wise, you could do better than Greg Vaughn, but if you like his swing, go for it. Lineup construction, I really can't see anything, obviously, because you don't have your lineup posted. But I would also move Trout to left and Julio to center. just because Julio's got the diamond defense, more speed. I like Julio in center a little bit more than Trout, so that's one thing that I would suggest doing. Outside of that, well, actually, I would put Trout in right, Ricky in left, and Julio in center, so you have 2 people playing their primary positions. Outside of that, though, the team looks pretty solid. Brooks Robinson, I think you could probably get Cattell. You know, in that cost range, Cattell's the best second baseman, in my opinion, in the game right now. So I would personally look to be getting Ketel Marte here. And that's kind of my suggestions on your team as well. So I would look to replace Jeff Bagwell and Brooks Robinson. I would get Ketel, and I would get Lou Gehrig. That would probably be my suggestions. Moving on to the next team here. Need to grind a lot more, but this is the squad for now. This is AV Designs. So let's see, he's got Harry Ford, which I really like that Harry Ford card. I see Garrett Cole, don't really see much of his starting lineup here. We got Kondo, we got Cano, we got the captain, we got Harold Ramirez, I believe is what that is. That's Julian Edward, or Edward Julian, or whatever the heck his name is. Jung Hoo Lee, Luis Robert, Curtis Granderson, Nolan Arenado. A lot of the WBC players, which honestly, you can make a pretty good team out of those. I see you only have like 9K stubs. So honestly, there's probably not a lot you could do. When I see Garrett Cole though on the bump, that kind of suggests to me where I would be going. I would be going to Team Affinity and trying to get Dustin May. That's probably the first thing I would do, because he will probably be your ace. There's another guy, Bob Gibson, that you can buy for relatively cheap that you should probably get as well. So those are kind of the directions I would be going. First things first though, with the hitting part, I would probably be looking to replace Curtis Granderson, Robert, or this Jeter card. Those are the 3 guys I'd probably be looking to replace first, just because they don't have a whole lot of pop. And I know Robert, he's a great defender, but he doesn't really do it for me. I don't like his swing much at all. Granderson's just a lefty that hits righties really well. I don't think his clutch is that high. And on top of that, I just don't think he's that great of a card overall. I mean, he's a good budget card, but at the end of the day, I think you could do a little bit better out there in right field for free. Like, for example, Eloy Jimenez is in that program. I would probably put him at DH too, or Nato, but I like Nato, so, you know, a lot of people don't like Nato. In right field, if you haven't done it yet, the Easter egg hunts, I think Reggie could be a better option in right field. Springer could also be a better option for those lower difficulties. I think those 2 guys alone that are free to do are worth doing. So that's what I would do if I were you. So that's kind of my suggestions for your team. Moving on to the next team here, we have No Money Spent Squad from Sadistic Medic HG. No Money Spent Squad, I'm trying Mountcastle at first and put Bregman, the home run beast, at DH today. Okay, so he's got Harry Ford, Reggie Jackson, Muncy Supercharged, Lindor, Kondo, Edmonds, Springer, that's Cano, and Bregman, and then Harry Ford. I don't know if I said Harry Ford or not. Okay. I don't know how many stubs you have. I'm going to assume you have a little, though. Although, obviously, you're no money spent. So, we'll rock with it. Mountcastle, great swing. No problems with him playing first at all. Absolutely no problems. Bregman, I'm sure you're on the lower difficulties, so this isn't going to matter as much. But if you're on Hall of Fame or Legend, I would advise you to get rid of Bregman from your starting lineup. And the reason being is because his clutch is so low. So I would advise that. If not, you should be okay. And everything's fine and dandy in your world. If he's swinging it well for you, he's swinging it well for you. I personally will never use Bregman because of his clutch. His clutch is only a 68, so that doesn't help his PCI size at all. And that's what I would probably be looking to do first. Another thing I would be looking to do is to get Jim Edmonds out of center field if you can. I would probably sell Jim Edmonds if I were you. I'm not a huge Jim Edmonds fan in center field. He's got diamond defense, he's got all that, but he's just not a great option to have in center field because of his speed. I think Jung Hoo Lee is probably the best budget center fielder you can get, and that's who I probably would. He's also a lefty, so that's probably who I would upgrade with instead of Jim Edmonds, and it saves yourself some stubs. So you can use those stubs to upgrade elsewhere. You could probably get Ketel at second base at that point then, or you could get a third baseman at that point with Lindor. You already have Lindor. You could get a third baseman like Moncada. You could buy Moncada and put him at third. There's a lot of different options you can do once you sell that Jim Edmonds. So that's what I would do to help your squad. Moving on to the next squad. we have Coach Kobo YT. Current lineup have slightly over 100k stubs. Grinding team affinity to get Jazz and Trey Turner. I'm at 53 set 1 cards right now without locking in anything that costs stubs. Awesome, that's a great start. So looking at the team here, we have Arozarena, Trout, Curtis Granderson, Tristan Casas, Gleyber Torres, Xander, Gio, Santander, and Harry Ford. So, first things first, I love the Santander. Good man right there. That's a good man. Santander, for me, is unbelievably good. I use that swing on my created player. I love Santander. He has a special place in my heart. So, good job on your part. I definitely prefer him at DH, though. So, that's the right spot. That's a good part about your lineup. I like it. I love Bogarts. Gleyber's swing I like this year. So, up the middle, I'm not mad at it necessarily. But with 100k stubs, I see you're trying to get Jazz and Trey. Everybody's trying to get Jazz and Trey, so, you know, it takes a little bit of time. I just finished myself. I got Chipper. So, I think that's a good plan for up the middle to have Jazz and Trey. I would probably put Jazz in center, though. That's me, and put Trey at second when you get them, and leave Bogarts there at shortstop. Third base, Gio Urshela. Not the greatest, not the worst either. I don't really like having the righties that you have. All these righties. You have 2 lefties and a switch hitter. Yeah, so I would be trying to get more lefties maybe in your lineup at this point in the year. You know, Curtis Granderson is not the greatest lefty either, without me really looking at his stats too terribly much. I've kind of said this over and over and over again with him. He's not the greatest of lefties. He is a lefty, though. So take that for what it is. He has good contact, good power. His clutch is only an 85. If you're not playing on Hall for Legend, I don't think it's a big deal. But at the same time, I would be looking to try to upgrade him. Trout, obviously, everybody loves Trout. Trout's amazing. Randy Arozarena, I don't like his reverse splits much. He kills lefties. He's more of a bench bat than a starter for me. I would be trying to get rid of him. You have 100k stubs, so this is what I would suggest. Since you're getting Jazz and Trey, let's just say Jazz goes to center. Trout moves over to left, takes Arozarena's spot. And then in right field, I'm going to suggest a guy, like, let's see. Let me look through here real quick. Like George Springer. That's one guy that I'm going to commonly probably suggest. I like George Springer on the lower difficulties, but a lot of people seem to be playing on that are asking for the advice here. Obviously, you don't have a guy like Sammy Sosa. Jung-Hoo Lee, I think, is another really good lefty bat that you could get for the outfield. You could probably stick him in center and put Jazz up the middle if you wanted. So let's do this. Jazz up the middle with Trey. So Jazz at short, Trey at second, Bogue at third, and then put Jung-Hoo Lee in center, Trout in left, and then in right, it's going to be kind of up to you. I would platoon right field probably with Randy Arozarena. So that would actually be a decent platoon with Arozarena and Curtis Granderson. I'm okay with Harry Ford at catcher. I like his swing a lot. Casas, I think you could sell him and get better choices at first. Once again, I'm going to keep referencing Lou Gehrig. Super cheap, budget well, not necessarily a budget option, but he is only 40k. I would probably go Lou Gehrig at first if it were me and this was my team. So that's kind of some suggestions from me to you on your team. There's Murakami is another one that you could do if you want to keep the lefty thing going. Murakami, you know, is another really good option. Both those guys are solid options. So that's what I would do if I were you. Moving on to the next team, we have my boy CJ Javier, or C. Javier for good old Christian Javier, an Astros fan. And as you can see, he didn't really leave much context for me here. He did it from the mobile app. That's okay. We have Kondo. We have Jock at the DH. Nato supercharged at this point. Muncy supercharged. Pena, Devers. Reynolds supercharged. Sosa, Hank, Acuna, Soto, Arozarena, and Urias on the bench. I'm okay with this. We'll start here first. So, supercharge-wise, obviously, those cards are kind of playing into this. I think at first base, Lou Gehrig should be here. Muncy, you know, second base. I'm going to give you some suggestions here of guys that are in the budgets that I like. Moncada. I'm going to keep referring to Moncada. Moncada's really good. I would do Moncada here at second if you need a budget. If you don't need a budget, you want the best second baseman in the game, get yourself Ketel Marte. He is the best second baseman in the game. Brian Reynolds, once he's done being supercharged, I would personally It's tough with left field right now. I like Eric Davis a lot in left with his speed. He doesn't have the greatest of reaction, but his speed more than makes up for it. I used him for quite some time. So Eric Davis is a card I would suggest in left field. Moving on to the lineup construction here. So we got Reynolds, Sosa, Muncy, Nato, Jock, Hank, Devers, Pena, Kondo. Okay. With this lineup here, I'm not a Hank Aaron fan swing-wise, but it's probably going to change quite a bit when the Superchargers aren't any longer on this team. Kondo, for me, in this lineup, would be batting like second or third, personally. I think Muncy needs to move down a lot, and I think Kondo needs to go up a lot. I like Kondo a ton. I'm hitting like 460 with that card. That card is one of the most versatile, best swings in the game, and every time I face him, he has 125 power. I swear he does. He secretly has 125 power. So that's how I feel about Kondo, as far as that goes. So that's kind of what I would do with your lineup. I like your lineup, but I think once the Superchargers are done, obviously, I think you have some other pieces in mind. That's what I would do. The last lineup of the day is Trenton. So it looks like he's got himself a pretty good squad here. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got his cat behind the plate, which I really like. We'll get to that in a minute. Stanton at DH, Gehrig, Gunnar, Lindor, Murakami, Ricky, Trout, and Acuna and Wright. A lot of stubs to work with. And I mean a lot of stubs. Pitching rotation-wise, that is the first thing I would address. Patrick Sandoval stinks. Get rid of this card. Go buy a Bumgarner for $15K, I believe it is. Go buy Madison Bumgarner if you want the lefty that bad. He's $12K. Go buy him. He's $12K. That's the easiest upgrade right there. Johnny Cueto can get the job done if you don't want to spend stubs there. If you do, go get you Darvish or Ohtani. If you don't want to spend all the stubs on the 99 overall Ohtani starter, that's fine. Then get the Yu Darvish. That's my suggestions there on the pitching staff. Relievers, ooh, these need some help. Okay, so this is where I would probably start spending your stubs. Presley needs to go badly. I would replace Presley with somebody that's like Gagne or not even Devin Williams. I'm not going to say Devin Williams. I would do Gagne. Gagne makes sense for this. I would replace Presley with Eric Gagne. That's $40K. The lefties are fine. That's who I run in my thing right now, other than Billy Wagner. I run Billy Wagner instead of Taylor Rogers, which is fine. I like Michael King enough. He's good. Loizaga, I like him. Camilo, I like him. Lee's fine. Ohtani's fine. Your pin's fine, other than Ryan Presley. So I would probably upgrade to Gagne there. Starters, I would get rid of Sandoval for Bumgarner. I would get rid of Cueto for probably Yu Darvish if you don't want to spend the stubs. So there's 100K spent, give or take. And then your lineup overall, I think is fine. I think you could make the case to take Acuna out of right field and get somebody else out there. You could probably start doing collections. If you don't want to start doing collections, I get that too. I would maybe go Kyle Tucker in right field over Ronald Acuna if you really want to spend your stubs. That's probably the best team you could make without doing the collections, or you could start doing the collections and try to get Sammy. Personally, I would probably get Kyle Tucker. He plays better if you play a lot of ranked. He's going to play a lot better, in my opinion, than what Sosa does. That I have him starting over Sosa right now. I kind of platoon the two. So that's what I would do if I were you. If you guys want your guys' episodes to be featured in the next episode of I Build Your Team, please make sure you guys go follow me over on Twitter and drop a comment on that next tweet that comes out. Keep an eye out for it. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.